Hey everyone, how are you all doing today? I'm very excited for today's Cindy show. As always, we're just going to be waiting for a few people to join. We've got a lot of customers joining today. Hi Clifford and Jim, thank you for joining. It's nice to see you here. Everyone is saying hi and good morning. Amazing. Where are you from? From Colorado, Skylar. I'm trying to remember to see how many people have actually been to the Cindy show more than 3 times. So let me know if you are a more than 3-time, if you're a more than 3-time customer. Clifford, I always recognize your name. Montana, Justin. Thank you for supporting Skylar Thomas. I think there's a lot of you on here because I recognize a lot of your names. And hi, is it Simone or Simona from Italy? Justin, totally, that's for sure. I know you by now. Hi, Danielle. Good to hear that you're a repeat show attendee. Amazing. Kelly, thank you. Hi from Texas. Hi, Kelly. My brother lives in Texas, so that's pretty cool. I'm not sure. He's in Dallas. I'm not sure where you are, but you're welcome to say. You can all see my screen that says the Cindy Show, I hope. Good morning. Thank you, April. You're a repeat Cindy Show attendee. Amazing. Giovanni. Ah, nice to see you, Giovanni. I'm glad you're here with us today. Okay, good. So I'll just give it just 1 more minute. I know we're not behind schedule, but there's still a lot of people that I believe who wanted to join. Okay. So just a few more seconds, I guess, and then we will get started. Okay. All right. So let's begin. As you know, as my normal greeting, as always, is welcome everyone to the Cindy Show today. As you know by now, it's a bi-weekly learning series designed for an exclusive group of customers like yourselves. Each 1-hour Zoom session is hosted live by myself. I'm Cindy Civan. I'm SysAid's Director of Customer Success, and I'm here to bring you expert tips, best practices, and support you with a live Q&A to help you level up your SysAid experience. A little bit about myself. I'm not doing food today, everyone. Believe it or not, no food, although I'm busy talking about it, but I don't think I've shared this about myself. As you know, I've been here for 8 years, and I was originally from the professional services team. But I do want to share that I have run 2 marathons, 42.2 kilometers. So I'm not sure if there's any other runners out there. If you are, you're welcome to type in the chat. Doesn't matter if it's 3 kilometers or 40 kilometers. If you are a runner, we always usually say that we're runners, although I'm not running as much anymore. But if you are a runner, please type in the chat. And if you're not and you want to start running, please type in the chat. Okay, thank you, April. Amazing. Okay, so today I'm going to be let me see why. Great. Okay, so today I'm going to be providing you with a demo where I'm going to walk you through how to master the service desk automation. Just a little bit of housekeeping. Please feel free to ask questions, as I'm sure you know by now, in the chat section at any time. My team will assist you in answering them. I'll also get to them during the session. And if at any time you would like to book a meeting with anyone in my team, please feel free to book. I'm going to actually add the link now. Ella is not on with us today. So I'm also launching the polls today. So let's hope I don't mess them up like a few weeks ago. But anyway, as always, I'd appreciate you if you could obviously take part in the polls throughout the session. And a special thank you to my team. our chat moderators, and of course, for all of the support during today's session. And of course, to all of you, don't take it for granted that you're here with me. And thank you for taking the time out in your busy days to join me. Okay, so as always, I have my first poll, and I'm going to try and launch it correctly this time, I hope. So give me a second. Polls and quizzes. Okay, amazing. The first one, are you on SysAid Spaces or Classic Edition? The reason why I'm asking right now is because I want to just see the majority of people if you're on Spaces or Classic. Let's have a look. It looks like the majority of you so far are on Spaces. And my poll actually might be a little bit confusing, actually, because it's a yes or no. So maybe just type in the chat and we'll see what is. So spaces, amazing. If you're not on Spaces and you are on the cloud, seriously, check with us. You should be using Spaces by now. But what we're going to do is I'm going to guide you through today. Amazing, Sherry, that you went on live on Spaces yesterday. That's great. So I'm going to do this in Spaces, but I will have some type of reference to the Classic as well, just so that everyone is covered today. Okay, I'm going to end the poll. Thank you for all taking part. All right, so let's dive into the core elements of the service desk management. So these 5 areas, from categories to routing rules, escalation rules, these are all of our automation rules, are key to prioritizing how tickets flow, to improve efficiency, how they're prioritized, and how your team stays aligned with SLAs. Myself, I'll be walking you through each one step by step, so you can apply best practices directly into your SysAid environment. Okay, so I'm already launching my next poll. Sorry to be so busy with the polls so quickly in the beginning, because I'd like to try and understand some of your reasons as to, if applicable, why. And let me just launch this. What are the reasons that you have not, I think there might be an issue, but let me know if you can see the whole question. If applicable, what is the reason you have not configured the automation rules we are learning about today? Let me know if you actually have a text area. You should, I hope. But what are the reasons why you haven't configured all of these automation rules? Is it because you do know and you're just looking for maybe some extra advice and learning, or maybe you just haven't configured it from the beginning, or maybe it's configured and you want to do some type of reconfiguration? So I'd love to try and understand just some of your reasons before we go into the live demo, which will be very, very soon. And I'll just give you another 20 seconds or so to answer the question. Okay, thank you. About 31, 32 of you have answered. I'm going to end the poll right now, and I just want to see some of the results over here. And I'm sharing them with you, as you can see on my screen. I'm not sure where all of the automation rules are. We do, but you like more details. Implemented some are configured. Starting to roll out the product, you just don't know how. Okay, amazing. You've come to the right place, and I'm so glad that you're honest and you say this. It's not applicable. Okay, lack of time. You don't know how. Configured, but wanting to set up timers. Largely not fully understanding. Okay, great. So it seems like a lot of you are in this space where things are, some of the configuration is done, some of the configuration is not done, and you obviously want to learn more. And I'm sure some of you also want to learn some best practices. Okay, so good. I've got you all covered, and here is my Spaces account. And as you can see, here's my classic account, and I'm going to toggle forward and back so that you're all covered, like I said in the beginning. Muna, quick question: when is classic going away? There isn't a specific date. Firstly, we still use it for on-prem customers, and we might still keep classic. You know, like I kind of look at it as Lightning. I don't know if any of you use the Lightning version in Salesforce. I toggle back from Lightning to the normal classic. Maybe we'll still end up having both, but for now, we've got both available. But if you're on the cloud and you're on, seriously, I'm going to say it again, you should definitely be in Spaces. Okay, so let's start. Let's go over here. This is, let me just go into, switch to Spaces. Okay, so in Spaces, I'm going to just turn off my chat bot. In Spaces, when you want to go to the automation rules, you can either go from here, and we're going to start off with categories. So in this specific section, we don't actually have categories. So if you go into settings, firstly, you can see the categories, right? But you can also just type categories if you don't know where to find it. Okay, manage categories. And from this section, in Classic, you're going to go from the cogwheel over here, and you're going to click on categories, and this is where you're going to find all of the sections that we're working on. So what you're seeing now in Classic is pretty much what you're seeing in Spaces, and we should also be able to work from this specific section. Okay, so let's have a look. So now there's a few things with regards to the categories. Now I've got a filter. Let me just reset my filter. Okay, so as you can see in my test account, I've got about 174 so categories. You don't want to have a lot of categories, and I'm going to share with you a little bit about my best practices document that I did quite a long time ago, where for categories, you don't want to have more than about, in the drop down over here, you don't want to have more than about 10 or 12. Okay, so even if you're using the chatbot, maybe you're not using the chatbot. When you're using the chatbot, it configures categories for you automatically. But if you aren't, I wouldn't have more than 10 or 12 categories out of best practice. And when you go into your subcategories, if you look at the drop down, I've probably got a bit too many. I wouldn't have more than about 5 to 8 of the second level category. And if you do have a third level category, this is way too many. And I just wanted to use this to show you. Why is it way too many? Because honestly, if you've got someone who's going to send in tickets from your self-service portal, your end user or your administrators, for your administrators to go and choose a third level category, and there's such a long list like this, it's way too many. Okay, so that's how one should obviously think about it. Is it the same configuration also in Classic? Absolutely the same. You can see this page that you're looking at over here is exactly the same page that we're looking at over here. Okay, and they're just two different test accounts though. Okay, so so that's pretty much the best practice I can share with you. One thing that you do want to put in your categories is your first level category. You always want to put the area of business usually. So usually it's something like hardware, software, and that type of thing in your first level category. That would be like the best practice per se. And then in your second level category, it's obviously something more specific, like what kind of hardware, what kind of software. Okay. And then the third level category, best practice, is usually more specific, like something like describing the issue or the symptom of the issue. So for example, if something like, what is it, a how-to, if something is not working, or you can't log in. So you can see I've got some of these over here, or not working as expected. So that I would say describe as the best practices for the categories. Now, there's a few things that you can do in bulk when it comes to categories. So let me ask you all now, do you know how, let me just see, there is a question. how do you suggest a third level category? So third level category is like a how-to, something specifically that describes the issue, the symptom of the issue. Is it to reset the password? Are you struggling to reset the password? You know, maybe there's a specific software purchase that describes a third level category. Okay. I would like to ask you, because I just want to test, I want to test the audience. Who knows how to just create a category on the fly? Does anyone know how to create a category on the fly? Yes, no. Yes, yes. Okay, so I'll do this. Of course, we always send recordings, but I'll do this quite quickly because I am seeing a lot of no's. So there's a few ways to add categories, and thank you to everyone who participates. So to add a category, you can literally click on a new category and you can start typing. For example, this could be something like hardware. Oh, I always make typing errors. It's not spelling errors. Hardware, create new. And what's the subcategory? Let's just say it's laptop. Okay, and then you click on create new. And the third level category, I want to say, for example, it's you know, can't log in. Okay, and create new. All right. You can describe over here, do you want this visible in the self-service portal? If you do, you're going to select all users. Or do you want it visible for a specific users? Or for example, do you want this visible for all administrators or specific admin groups? So let's just say I was creating a category, for example, that was for HR. Maybe it's a termination or new hire. You don't want all of your people on the self-service portal to be able to see the termination category per se. So you might want to put it specifically only for a group, and then you do have the option. But for the sake of this exercise, I'm going to have it visible for all users, all administrators. Do I want this for incidents and requests? Yes. Now, this is actually quite interesting. I don't know if any of you have ever heard of category-driven templates. Now, you could have a specific, yes, you can select several admin groups. So for example, if I wanted admin group facilities, group A, whatever it is, you can, absolutely. Now, I don't know if any of you have ever heard of category-driven templates, which means is, let's just say, and we're going to do this for this specific category. Let's just say, for example, on the portal, you want a specific category for, or a specific template to be used, like a hardware template. Just say you have one. Let's just go and find one. Let's just see if I've got one. Hang on. Let's just, I haven't even checked these templates. So let me see. Let's just do this one. I'm going to put this specific template because you're going to see this is called a category driven template, like I've said. And nice to know, Mitchell, that you use category driven templates. And what's nice about it, and we'll go back there, is when your users select these categories, it means this specific template is going to come up automatically by default. I don't want this specifically for requests, only for incidents, and I'm going to go save a new. Okay. Hang on a second. It can't log in. Save a new. Okay. Hang on a second. Okay, there we go. Now, hang on. Let me just select my template again. I think I created and done. Did it select? Okay, beautiful. I did it. Okay. Now, category is created. Now, you can import categories as well. Now, I don't know if any of you do import categories. If you ever need to import, seriously, if you've got 100 categories that you want to add, you certainly don't want to start typing them in one way, or do it all of the time. So let me just open up. Let's see if I've got an Excel document I can just open up. 1 minute. thought I had one open, but I kind of rebooted my machine. So here we go. Okay, so this is how you would actually create a document to import your categories. Okay, so the first is what is the name of the category? Okay, and what is the name of the second level category? All right, and what is the third level? All right. And you can continue. Do you want this visible in the self-service portal? You can, I'm going to leave this over here. Now, let's just say we're creating a category called, and I'm just going to use my name, Cindy. Or let's just do hardware. Let's be consistent, everyone. Hardware, second level category. We already use laptop, so let's use desktop. Okay. And the third level category is also not working. All right, and do you want it visible in the self-service portal? Yes. Now you would have all of your names of your categories here. I would have, maybe there's another laptop. Maybe you want a third level category called new. You would start creating your document, right? Then what you're going to do, and I'm not going to import one right now because it's going to take me a while to create all of this. But what you would need to do is very, very important is you want to start mapping the fields over here. So let's start mapping it. So just remember, my first column is category, second level, third level, and SSP. Okay, and we've got 4 columns or 4 fields. So this is how we would actually do it. Okay, we would say we've got 4 fields. We don't want to import the head, that first line, right? And it needs to be from it needs to be a CSV file from line number, and it's usually from line number 2, because remember my header fields took up 1 line. And now we want to map the fields. My fields were category. In fact, first submit, okay, category, then subcategory, then third level category, and then I think I had one visible on the self-service portal, which was this one. Okay, literally all you would need to do is choose the file. Again, just to make sure it's always a CSV file, and you would literally upload it. Let's see, I haven't done this in quite a few years, guys, since my professional service days. So let's just upload one category. I want to make sure that it works. So let's go here to my document. Hope it works. If it doesn't, that's not good. Okay, so what we're going to do is hardware, desktop, not working. I'll just name it so we can find it. I will just name it Cindy. And what we're going to do is we're going to save it as a CSV file. So let's go save as. Okay, and I'm going to call this Cindy show categories. Okay, and let's name it as a CSV file. Beautiful. I'm going to save it in my downloads. Save. Beautiful. And I'm going to close it off. And let's hope that this works, everyone. Okay, so we're going to choose the file. There we go. Here it is. Click on it. And you can see it's over there. It's selected. And I'm going to say submit. Okay, now we'll give it about a minute. I just want to see if there's any other questions while this uploads. Josh, I see your question. Is it possible to make the third level category not required? Absolutely. There's actually a setting that I can show you where you don't actually have to have a third level category, and I'll show you. Or visible to admin groups. Yes, we already said we can select several. Okay, perfect. So now let's go into our category list. I know that it uploaded because I called it Cindy. I hope it's not this one that I just brought in here. Let's have a look. Oh, here it is. Here's the category that I just created. Amazing. That's it. So it's as easy as that. Okay, so I want to show you in settings, in the general settings page, where you can actually disable the categories. Generals, there we go. So let me just go Control F and search category. Is it working? Control F, category. Okay, enable third level categories. So over here, if you don't want to enable it, you can actually just uncheck this box. And then of course, don't forget to save it at the bottom over here. And in Classic, this is where you'd find it. You would go into your general settings. And you would go in here. Let's just go Control F and search category again. All right. And you would literally unselect this if you don't want to use, and then save it if you don't want to use your third level category. Yeah, so it will remove all third level categories. If I save this now in my, hang on a second, in my other test account, let's see. Let's go into the categories. Let's just see. I don't think it's saved the first time. Let's try again. Save this. Okay, let's go back into categories and just refresh, I guess. Oh, so there's probably so I can't actually do this now because you've got service records that are associated with a third level category. But that's how you would, if you don't want to have third level categories, that's how you would do it. Yes, you can delete categories, and I'm going to show you how. Okay, let's just go back into our settings, into categories. Okay. All right, so you can delete categories, even if you've got tickets associated with them. One of the ways you can do it is literally you can go in here, select the categories you want to delete, and I'll show you what happens. Are you sure you want to delete? Okay. Now what happens is it actually asks you, what is the replacement category? All right. So let's just say, for example, the replacement category for the ones I want to delete is that Cindy category. What do you want to do with all of the active service records with the ones that I want to delete? Do you want to also do this with the closed and the archived ones? So it actually asks you, okay, I want to do it for every single category. For these ones, I want to associate it with the Cindy desktop category, do it for all, and then hit continue. Okay, so now we're going to see for that Cindy category. Wait, hang on a second. It did not delete. 1 minute. Let's try that again. Categories. Let's have a look. Let's try and delete these. Oh, they probably did delete. But if you actually have, let's have a look at our service desk. Let's see if there's anything specific. Here we go. These are the Cindy tickets. So these are all of the active tickets for the category called Cindy. Let's just filter on them. So they actually did delete. Let's just find it at the top here. No, let's just write it in. It's not finding it just yet, but you can actually see when we were looking earlier. Let's just go back to here. You can see that there were those Cindy ones somewhere here, which I can't find right now, but they were when we initially first saw them. So I hope you all did actually see that. Okay, let's move on. I don't want to get too stuck onto categories, but I just want to see if there's any other questions. Okay, not familiar with permissions and roles. You can restrict to add and delete categories. You can add and delete categories. Sorry, Joel, I'm not understanding your question. That you're not very familiar with permissions and roles. Okay, I'll get back to that. Can any admin delete categories? No. It depends on the admin permissions. If you're a sysadmin, then for sure you'll have the permissions to delete categories. So that's defined in the, I'll actually just show you in Classic, in the admin permissions over here. Under permissions, if you are a SysAid admin, you'll be able to purge service records, categories. You'll literally be able to do absolutely everything. Okay, so you'll just need to check your permissions. I've just showed you in Classic, and I'm going to quickly show you in this section as well. Minutes. If you go into settings, under admin, over here, this is where you can go to check the user permissions. Okay. All right. Let's move on because we've still got 30 minutes left, and there's a few things that I do want to show you. Okay, let's talk about some of the automations. Okay, routing rules. Now, routing rules are the rules that you set up. How are you routing your tickets? Specifically from the self-service portal. Okay, so here you can see I've got a few examples, but let's create a new one together. Okay, so over here is if a customer, for example, submits a ticket with a category called Cindy, who or what is the admin group that you are looking to solve this ticket? Who should be assigned to the ticket? So in my specific case, Cindy desktop, I'm going to assign my ticket to tier 2 support. What this means is any customer who submits a ticket with a category called Cindy gets automatically assigned to tier 2 support, and you literally hit apply. Okay, so you can do this for agreements, for specific user groups. So let's just say, for example, you want to create, let's just say now, let's just say you want to add in a specific, let's just say you've got groups like VIP users. Like maybe you all met my boss, it was a week or two ago, Francis. I think it was last week. It feels like it's longer, I think. And let's just say he's part of the VIP user group. Maybe you want all of his tickets to go directly to, and I like to always say Joe Soap, but let's just say they should all go to the IT hardware admin. It should go directly and should be assigned to that specific administrator. So no matter what the category, anyone who's on VIP users, you might want to have him sit, or maybe maybe you've got your best administrator who's your network admin, who maybe is part of your tier 3 or your VIP group. You might want to have a specific admin look after those tickets. So you can set routing rules based on the agreement, the company, location, the CI even, and the category. Most commonly, I don't know what all of you guys do, but most commonly, most customers do choose categories. But something that's very important, I do want to show you. You don't necessarily have to have routing rules for every single category, but you should always have one at the bottom, and you can see it should be enabled. You should always have one at the bottom that captures absolutely everything. Okay, something that's like this. So for example, no matter what the category, no matter what the agreement, you always want to have tickets assigned to a specific admin group. Now, if you don't have any routing rules enabled, why? You don't want to have an administrator that actually has to go to your service desk and assign tickets to specific administrators. Let SysAid do the work for you. Let it streamline your processes for you. So in this specific case, you always want a specific routing rule to cover you for absolutely everything. Okay, I hope that helps you. Any questions about routing rules, please put them in the chat. Okay, now let's go on to our email rules. Back to automation, email rules. And I just want to show you here for classic customers. You're going to go here straight into email rules, and we're literally seeing the same screen. Okay, so now for email rules is, let's create a new one together. Now, what usually happens with email rules? Most obviously, when emails are sent in from any end user, the user can't the user can't select a category. They're sending in an email, right? So they can't select the category when they're submitting an email. So this is where you want your email rule to do the work for you. Okay, so firstly, you always want to make sure it's enabled. One thing about email rules is that if the rule is applied, do not apply to further rules. So what this means is you could have corresponding conflicting email rules and so forth. So this is just saying once this email rule is applied, do not look for any other email rules because it might find another one. Okay, if the text or something correlates, which I'm going to show you now. Okay, so what is your incoming email address? In this case, it's all. And in our case, if you guys, for example, ours is helpdesk@sysaid.com. This is your help desk email address. And I'm going to select OK. Now the text to search for. So let's go in, let's click on the three dots. So let's just say, for example, the text to search for, maybe we want to create an email rule that covers our VIPs or maybe really urgent tickets. So we want to add an email rule if the subject or the body, now we want to use the word contains, and if it contains the word urgent or urgently, for example, or let's create another one, if the subject or the body contains the word upset, so it will look at the subject or the body. If it contains these words urgent, urgently, urgency, extremely upset, it'll obviously find any words associated with this. That's why I always use contained, and I use the or line. And I'm going to create our filter. Okay, now you can also define, for example, the template. So let's use this template that we were kind of using earlier. Do we want it as an incident? We do want it as an incident. Let's assign it to a specific user or a specific group. For example, that network administrator group, this network, for example. Let's put a status to it. Let's even put a category to it, okay? And again, I'm just using the one that I imported. Let's put the urgency as normal and leave the priority as priority 5. And then we're going to select apply. Now, what's really nice about this is what we're doing here is we're making it more efficient for your administrators. Okay, we're making it more efficient for your administrators. So then when this ticket comes in, everything is already selected for them. Okay, and they don't have to start looking for categories from the email. I hope that makes sense. Okay, I'm just going to pause before I apply. I want to see if there's any questions. Okay, could you please explain the concepts of urgency, priority, impact? Absolutely, that's a really good question. Okay, so let's just say, for example, there's something in SysAid called the priority matrix. I'm just going to apply this rule for you. It would help if I gave it a rule name. Very important, everyone. Okay, Cindy. I'll just name it as Cindy and apply. Okay. I'm going to show you over here. We've got something that's a priority matrix. Hang on a second. 1 minute. Interesting. I'm not seeing it here. Just want to see if it's here. No. I'm not seeing priorities. Here we go. Okay, there we go. All right, so let's just say, for example, you should almost look at it as a mathematical equation, that the impact and the urgency equals the priority. Okay, so you can see, for example, a very low impact and a very low urgency naturally would have a low priority. Now, what usually happens is, usually you have the urgency on the self-service portal for your users to select. But let's be honest, if I'm sending in a ticket, I don't care. Anything that I send in is pretty urgent for me. Okay, even if it's only affecting me. Okay, so a lot of customers do actually have the urgency removed from the self-service portal. But pretty much the impact is how it impacts. Is the impact high? Is it stopping all business? For example, if the impact is going to be very high and it's very urgent for the person. So for example, the impact is impacting not only one person, it's impacting 10 people in the organization, then the impact would be very high. The urgency would also be urgent, and then the priority would then be at its highest. And that's how you would then set them. Now, SysAid comes with a priority matrix with predefined rules already. As you can see, it's already been predefined, but you can go in and create your own in your priority matrix. Okay, so I hope that it answers your question. How can we use our original email address? Does the cloud use our email original address where we can receive all emails? And how can we import our 45 email rules? We work 90%. Okay, so Giovanni, I'm going to have to, this is a bigger question. I'm going to have to get to some of your questions afterwards. And it'll probably be a bit later today, if not tomorrow. Okay, I'm going to move on, and hopefully some of the people in my team will be able to answer some of these questions as well. Okay, so that's how you would work on the impact, urgency, and priority. Okay, all right, so let's go back. We've done email rules, and we've created an email rule. Let's start looking at due dates. Okay, so due dates are our due dates are our SLAs. Okay. Now, when you create due dates, let's go and create a new one together. Best practice that I can tell you is due dates based on priority. So we've already just discussed priorities, right? So if, for example, I don't know what your SLAs are, okay? But let's just say, for example, my SLA, if I'm going to create due dates, I'm saying no matter what the category, no matter what the urgency, no matter what the, and if the priority is at its highest, this needs to be resolved within 1 hour. Okay, and I'm going to literally select, let's just put in the other 0. I'm going to select apply. Okay, and I know I'm showing you in Classic. Let's just go back here into automation. Let's go into settings. Let's just type in due dates, and you're going to find exactly where I am over here. I'll continue in Classic for now. Okay, so great, I've already created one due date. Now we can create another one. So we've already created, this is the due date, it's the one that's highest, and it should be resolved in 1 hour. Let's create another one based on priority. Let's just say it's the one on very high. Let's just say, for example, it's 2 hours. We would literally then select apply. One thing that's super important that you should know is, obviously, what is the execution order? I remember when I was in professional services, a lot of customers would actually ask me, you know, what is the execution order of the actual SLA? So you can actually see it's literally according to the agreement, then the category, then the SR type. So you can see my execution order is set because this one is set, it has an agreement. And this one over, and these ones over here, the execution orders 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, because the next one it looks at is it's a subcategory. I don't have anything else defining it as an SR type, nothing else defined as an urgency. Priority comes next, and then company very, very last. So if I just create one for a company, let's just say it's company E, you're going to see the execution of this one. Let's just say for this company A is 10 hours. This is going to be at the very, very bottom, as you can see. Okay, so this is the execution order. It's actually these columns over here. All right. What is the difference between due dates and timers? So due dates is your SLA. How long do you want your tickets to be resolved in? Okay, so for example, if you have a ticket that has this category called application. You want this ticket to be resolved in 3 hours. Okay, that's what a due date is. That's the SLA. Okay, now we're going to go into timers now. Timers is where you want to time, for example, how long it takes for tickets to be resolved. For example, the time to repair and time to respond. You should all have these timers. If you don't, maybe SLAs are not important to you. I had many customers in the past where SLAs actually weren't important to some customers. But how can you do better? How can you become more efficient? Maybe, and I use this as an example, maybe, for example, and I'm going to show you how to set the timers. Maybe Joe Soap is going for too many smoke breaks in his afternoon between 3 and 5 p.m. And we're going to start seeing that the time to respond for Joe Soap is much longer than the others. And you do this by pulling reports. So you do want to have a timer that sets how long is it going to take all of your technicians, how long is it going to take them to repair, how long is it going to take them to just respond to their initial ticket, because Joe Soap, if he's actually on a smoke break, it's going to be, when we pull the report, we're going to be able to see Joe Soap's taking a long time to respond. So that's why you do want to set timer. You want to time how long it takes certain people, certain groups to respond to tickets. Okay, so that's just one specific use case. So let's create this together. Okay, so let's go into time to repair. Now, just so that you know, SysAid has got 10 timers. Okay, that's the maximum, and that's that you shouldn't need to create more than 10 timers. All right. Now, time to repair is one that you always want to have. And now you want to go into the expression builder. Why? Let's just make this a little bit wider. Because how it works, if you think of it logically, if we're looking at the time to repair, it's basically looking at every single status except for the closed status, verified closed, and the deleted status. Okay, so let's just say, for example, though, what about your statuses when you've got, let's just say you've got a customer who is waiting for them to respond. Let's just add in another status. I hope I've actually got the status. I should, but why am I not finding my status? Oh, there it is. Okay. So let's just say, for example, you're waiting for a user respond. Why should your SLA be affected because Mary Kate is out in the Maldives having the most amazing vacation? You're waiting for her to respond. Why should that affect your SLA? Okay, so Mary Kate and Joe Soap, these guys are taking too many smoke breaks, and Mary Kate I'm jealous of because I want to go to the Maldives. Okay, so when we're waiting for a user to respond, pending customer response, you want to exclude them from your time to repair because, again, because of the reasons that I just mentioned. Okay, and maybe you're waiting on a vendor to respond. So then you would literally add another line, and then I would create the filter. And then, of course, you would apply. Now, if you go in today and you start making all of these changes, because now you're wondering, okay, great, I'm going to go and make these changes today. Amazing. Will it work retroactively? No. Okay, it won't work retroactively. It'll only start working from today. Okay, so let's also just look at time to respond. Let's look at the timer over here. That's already created. You're going to the expression builder. Time to respond. It's basically if the status is new and if it's an incident. Now this is time to respond for incidents. So this is actually a little bit of a problem, because what about requests? How can you record the time to respond for requests? So either you have to delete this last line, or what we're going to do is let's rename this time to respond incidents. Okay, apply. And let's create a time to respond for requests together. I know I'm running out of time and we still got escalation rules to get to. So let's go to our timers, to this one. time to respond requests. Okay, and let's go into the expression builder, and it is the status is new. And oops, let's go in here. We want to say and, okay, and the service record type is request. There we go, is request. And then create our filter and then simply apply. It's really that quick and that easy. Okay, so I hope, Stephen, you asked a question, the difference between due dates and timers. I hope that answered your question. I hope, I don't know if any of you have got any questions with regards to timers. If you do, please post them. But in the meantime, I'm going to go into escalation rules. Okay, escalation rules. This is a very, very powerful tool, and I'm going to show you as well over here in automations, in escalation rules. Okay, let's create a new rule together. Now, why do we want escalation rules? Escalation rules can do so much. Now, you have to be very, very, very aware that when you do have too many escalation rules going to the same group, for example, you're going to have your users, your administrators, just ignoring the escalation rule. So you really have to be, it's like a fine line between what's too much and what's too little. So it just depends on what you want escalation rules for. And I'll give you a few use cases. Let's just say, for example, the most important one is before breach of due date. Okay. Now, can you do a full Cindy show showcasing escalation rules? I think I'm going to have to, April, because I'm running out of time. I'm going to give this a good 7 minutes, though. I might go over a little bit if anyone just wants to stay over for a few minutes, maybe just for like a minute or two. But I might have to, I might have to circle back to this one. Okay, so thanks, Clifford. Okay, so the most important thing, when you are creating an escalation rule, you always want to do a test. And when you're creating it, do not enable it, because let me tell you something. And for those of you who know me, who've been in this before on my Cindy shows before, when you create an escalation rule and they work damn quickly. And when I was in professional services, again, so many years ago, I had an escalation rule. It pulled in 2,000 emails from the customer's email box. And once it was funny. I promise you, it was terrible. I thought I was going to get fired. So you always want to test it first, please. And you always want to give it a status. Okay. So just take it from me. You don't have to worry about it, but you do just want to test it. Okay. So first and foremost, why are we creating an escalation rule? I want to know if my ticket is in breach. Did I pass the due date of that high priority ticket that I created? So this is going to be a very, very generic escalation rule. If it's no matter what the agreement, no matter what the category, no matter if it's an incident or a request, all right? If the status is active, which means open, pending, anything that's active, all right? If the status is active, if the assigned to, no matter what the assigned to, no matter who the admin group is, I want to know that if the priority, which was my priority 1, right? If it's been 1 minute past the due date, I want to send a notification to the administrator or the administrator's direct manager. Okay. Or maybe in this specific case, I want to send an email also to, let's just find, I want to send it to Alexander. He's my head technician. Okay, let's just do Alexander. Okay. And Get a second and select it. So you can select a specific person if you don't have the person in here. 1 minute past the due date. And you want to type in a message. You might want to actually say here something like, I always type in big caps with lots of exclamation marks. Due date passed. Okay, so at least you know, like what is it for? Okay, due date is passed, and you want to say, you can type in what you want. Obviously, it's not going to be as rude as this. Answer this now, but I'll just make it very, very rude for the sake of my example. Okay, and it comes out with all of the specific, like what's the server record number, what's the category, and so forth. Now, in this case, we want to make the escalation level 1. Why? Because 1 minute has passed, not because it's 1 minute, but it's my smallest minute. If I was creating, let's just say 3 escalation rules, one for 1 minute, one for 1 hour, and another one for 10 hours, I would have an escalation level of 1 for the 1 minute one, 2 for the 5 hour one, and 3 for the 10 hour one. Okay. And in this specific case, I'm going to give it an escalation level 1, and then I would simply add the rule. Okay. One thing I do want to show you is escalation rules. We've got 3 different types of rules that you can create. Okay. The first one is to let you know if it's past the due date. You can have an escalation rule that's going to let you before the due date. So it's going to be one of these 3. Or you can create an escalation rule based on our timers. So let's just say if it's specifically 1 minute past the time to repair, or maybe the time to respond. Okay, so I have to say, I would usually work with these 2, to be honest with you. Because you might want to also give a warning to the assigned administrator if it's, for example, like this is another use case, if it's, for example, 30 minutes before the due time. Okay, just to let them know, hey, hang on, you haven't answered. And you then send them like, don't forget, ... Okay, to obviously answer or to work on that specific ticket, because it's going to go in breach in 30 minutes, and then you would literally add the rule. Okay, you can also have an escalation rule to archive your tickets. It's super popular, and I want to show you how to do that. So let me just go back. Let's go. I'm getting lost here in my own escalation rules. Okay, so let's just say if you want to have an escalation rule for breach, I lied, for archive. Okay, obviously your status is closed. Okay, because otherwise you wouldn't archive it. Okay, and there's actually you can literally keep everything the same. The only thing is, when do you want to archive it? So usually you want to archive something when it's maybe 5 working days or 10 working days. Thanks, Giovanni. If it's 5 or 10 working days. Now, we just work in hours, and these are business hours. So let's just say there's 8 hours in a day, 8 5s are 60, so 60 hours. Again, it's business hours. So you want to archive when it's 60 hours after it's been closed. Now, in the action builder, there is a field called archive, and we're going to say archive it, yes, and create, and add the rule. Now, some of you may not have this archive field. So what you need to do is you need to go into the fields. You need to create the field called archive. Custom fields. I'm going to go into service record, and you're going to see there's going to be a field here called archive. No, there isn't. Why not? Let me just... unless maybe, in fact, you know what, maybe it's actually already built in. Maybe that's something that SysAid has done on Spaces. You can check. But what you can do is If you don't have it, you can create a new field called archive. It must be a list field. Okay. And you'll give it a DB name. Can't do it in capital letters. And select apply. Okay, so I know there's a lot of people starting to drop. I guess I'm going to wrap it up. And I hope that you've all have found this very helpful. I'd love your feedback. If there's any feedback that you want to provide, please type it in the chat. I'll keep the chat open. But as always, everyone, I'm super excited to always host the Cindy shows. Thank you for returning customers for joining. You guys are very engaging, and I hope that you've learned something today. And I will try and also get to your questions as soon as possible. So thanks, everyone. Keep well. Bye-bye for now. Oh, Adam, yes, we've done already on reporting. I will send you a video, and I'm saying goodbye properly. Bye, everyone.